Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I just want to start off this video by saying I am so sorry that this video has taken so long. If you're watching this video because you watched my original scrap blanket video, this apology is for you guys because that video was over 12 months ago and I am only now putting out part 2. But we're here now and I am here to show you the finished results of my beautiful scrap blanket. I firstly just want to say that the reason it took me so long is because I made the mistake of making this way too big. So if there's anything that I can tell you guys when making a scrap blanket, don't bite off more than you can chew because chances are you will never finish it. And if it wasn't for you guys that kept commenting on my original video saying, "Where's part 2? Where's part 2?" I probably would have never finished this blanket. So thank you so much for all of you who were pushing me to finish this. And if you are just starting a scrap blanket, please don't make it too big because that was my mistake. Anyway, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all how I finish this off and give you a quick little tutorial on how to add this cute little pom-pom border if that is something you are interested in. And then at the end of the video, I give you a proper look at the overall blanket and we'll have a look at how the whole thing has turned out. So if that is something you're interested in, just keep on watching. Hopefully this video is everything you hoped it would be and has been worth the wait. But anyway, I'm not going to make you guys wait any longer, so let's get into it. So to get started, what you want to do is take your yarn and your hook. I'm actually just using a 4mm crochet hook today with a single strand of 8-ply, also known as DK weight 100% acrylic yarn. You could definitely use the same method as we did for the blanket if you prefer, but I am just going to be using a single strand of white yarn today with a 4mm crochet hook. Obviously you would use the hook relevant to the yarn you are using. Now we just want to start off with a slip knot, so popping that onto our hook. And then we want to go in and join our yarn into our blanket. I like to go and find these spaces here. I find going into these spaces help me space the border out evenly and have my pom-poms or popcorn stitches spaced evenly. So if you think you might find that helpful as well, please feel free to do the same. So I'm finding that space there and I'm going in with my hook and joining my yarn with a slip stitch. And then we want to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then what we want to do is complete 5 double crochet into the 3rd chain from our hook. So counting 1, 2, 3, finding that 3rd chain from our hook, yarning over, and we're going to go in with 5 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what we want to do is pull up our loop so we don't lose it, remove our hook, and then we want to find the top of that very first stitch that we completed. So going in to the top of that very first double crochet and then back through the loop that we just pulled up. You can pull it to tighten it up now, and then just pulling that loop through the top of that first stitch. And that creates our popcorn stitch. Then what we want to do is find the 3rd chain from the bottom of our work, so counting 1, 2, 3, and going in with a slip stitch into that 3rd chain from the bottom of our work. Just like that. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to find that next space. So this is why I said going into those larger spaces is helpful for making sure you're spacing your work evenly. So I'm going to find that next space and join with a slip stitch. Just like that. And that completes our first popcorn stitch. Now what we're going to do is basically repeat that process all over again. So chaining 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Finding that third chain from our hook, 1, 2, 3, and going in with another 5 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, pulling up that loop, finding the top of that first double crochet that we completed, inserting our hook, and then pulling that loop through the top of that first stitch. Then again, we are counting 3 chains from the bottom of our work, so 1, 2, 3, inserting our hook and completing a slip stitch. We're then chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and finding that next space, going in and completing a slip stitch to join. And that is pretty much all there is to it. You're just going to repeat that step over and over and over again until you reach the corner. I'm going to go ahead and complete a few more of the popcorn stitches, and I will meet you here at the corner, and then I will show you what to do at that point. Okay, so here I am almost at the corner. So I've just chained 3 here as normal, and I'm now going to be joining into the corner space. So usually I would be going into this space here, but we're going to go one space further in this instance and join into our corner space. If you are finding that your border isn't quite lining up or you're a little bit too far away, you can add in an extra chain here if you find it's pulling because you're joining one space extra, or a couple of spaces further along. Feel free to do an extra chain stitch or 2 if you need to. Okay, so I'm going in now to this corner space here and completing a slip stitch just like normal. And now this is where it is a little bit different. So because we're in the corner space, instead of chaining 6, we want to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And still doing the exact same as what we have been. So finding the third chain from our hook and completing 5 double crochet into that chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we are completing our popcorn stitch, so pulling up that loop just like we've been doing, inserting our hook into that first stitch and pulling that loop through. We're then going to go into the second chain from the bottom, so counting 1, 2, and inserting our hook and completing a slip stitch. Then what we want to do is chain 2, so 1, 2, and we're going back into that corner space that we just crocheted into. So inserting our hook into that very same corner space and completing a slip stitch to join. And that just creates a little pom-pom in the corner. Now you will just continue as normal. So we'll then go back to chaining 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll begin working our border along this edge. Now you'll see here that we are now working along the edge that has actual stitches. It still works exactly the same as what we were doing here when we were going into the ends of the rows. The only difference is obviously there are actual stitches here rather than just ends of rows, but I actually prefer to crochet into the space between stitches rather than the actual stitch. I think that just gives a neater finish and it's more consistent with what we've been doing along here. So I would usually space my pom-poms out, say every 3 or so stitches, but the spacing will just depend on your project and what look you're going for. But you basically want to try and keep the same spacing as what we did along the side here, so it is nice and consistent. Anyway, that is pretty much all there is to it, guys. I will let you go now and finish off your border, and I will meet you back here once I'm done and we will see what the finished product looks like. It is looking really cute already, so I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's finished. Alright, so here I am at the end of my border. I'm back at the beginning, so I'm just going to show you guys how to finish it off. I'm just going to complete my last chain 3. And then all we're going to do is find that space that we first joined our yarn into. So for me, it is this space here. And we're just going in with a slip stitch. Just like that. Now we can take our scissors and leaving a decent tail so we can sew it in. We're just going to cut our yarn. And now you can just pull that end through. And just to make it super secure, I just like to go in and kind of tie it back on itself just to make sure it's nice and secure and it's not going to come undone. Just like that. And then I would go in and sew in those ends along with all the rest of my ends that I have still floating around. Some of these will just be able to be cut off because I crocheted over them, as I explained in part 1 of my scrap blanket video. But that is pretty much it, guys. I absolutely love how this border looks on this blanket. I think it finishes it off really nicely, but I'm going to go ahead and tidy everything up, so get rid of all these loose ends, and I will stand up and hold this baby up and we'll get a good look at it. So if that is something you're interested in, just stick around. I will be back in a moment. Here she is in all her glory. As you can see, it is kind of hard for me to fit the entire thing in frame because, like I mentioned, I made it way too big. But in saying that, I am super happy with how it's turned out. I think it will get its first little test run today because I'm going to go and sit on the couch and edit this video for you guys. But thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up as usual. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on your notifications so you will be notified of all my future videos. But until next time, guys, stay safe, be kind, and I will see you next time. Bye.